Yes, it's live now.
Okay, let's
Yes,
see.
refresh now. We are live. We should be live now.
I'm just gonna see.
You should be live now.
Yeah, I can see it now.
We are live. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, let's wait for others. Let's wait for others. Yes, we are live. Let me just look for the link. Okay. Okay. So let me just see how many going. Uh, then please let me start to. I'm coming. Otherwise, this other guy, Alex. Let's see. Let me just say we are live. We are live. Uh, mm, okay. Okay. So let's just wait for others. Uh, uh, Let me just send it to others. Okay, let me. I'm coming. Let me try and send it to others. Uh, yeah. Okay. So we have to wait for Alex. Oh, I need to add Alex. Welcome to the stream. Sorry, I didn't add you before. Yeah, people are already here. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. We have 11 people here. We have thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just coming back from church, so we did Thanksgiving. So and today there is daylight savings or something. So the thing changed. I was thinking to be 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Nigerian time. So now it has to be 1 p.m. So I had to quickly do some adjustments and make sure it's good. Okay, good. Hello, guys. Thank you, Chisom, for joining. Thank you. I can see Damilola. I can see Uchena. We can see Uyi. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, for coming. Thank you. Thank you. You can see 12. Okay, so without further ado, let's quickly welcome our guest speakers. So let me start from Alex. Alex, can you please introduce yourself so that we can go ASAP? Yeah.
Yes, hi, everyone. My name is Alex Asamoah Ankoma. I'm originally from Ghana. Finished my studies at the University of New South Wales in Sydney, and Politicals Research Limited, which is a global health research and policy organization in Sydney, as an analyst. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Mr. Banji, can you just do a quick introduction of yourself, bro?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dewan. Good evening, everyone, or good morning, wherever you might be. So it's actually 4 a.m. in Australia, and I
Wow.
struggle to wake up this. Yeah, I struggle to wake up this morning.
Wow.
It was a bit tough, but I'm happy. I'm actually able to join
Thank you.
this forum this evening. So, hi guys. My name is Banji. I arrived Australia 2016, early February 2016, and I was enrolled for my master's program, Masters of Public Health, which I completed within 18 months, and then proceeded to another master's in health services management. So I've since been here, just working at the moment, but that's all I guess you need to know about me for now. So if there's any other information, I'm definitely happy to tell you as the
Okay.
segment progresses.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. You only told us what you are doing. You didn't tell us a brief history about your Australian journey. Let people know exactly what you have done, what you are doing now, anything that relates to Australia, so people can have a very nice background.
Okay, sure. So I also completed my master's at the University of New South Wales. I did a master's in public health and a master's in infectious diseases intelligence through the Australia Award Scholarship. And that was in 1 year, 8 months. So I just finished like in September. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, I don't know, but that's it.
Okay. So if I may ask, presently you are where you are working now, right?
Yeah, so now I work in Sydney, although I like right now I'm in Ghana, but I work with a company in Sydney because I'm into health and a lot of research. So that is where I am at the moment.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
with a company. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. Okay, so let's start without wasting a lot of time. Let me start from Alex. Alex, um, I am I just finished my undergrad degree in Nigeria. I am looking at coming to Australia via scholarship or via any means. From your experience, which pathways are possible for somebody who is an African or just anybody to get a scholarship in Australia? What are the feasible ways from your experience?
Okay, I don't know. I had some slides which
Okay,
I don't know if you want me to go through because that will touch on some of the things you've asked, and
okay,
then maybe after that you can ask questions. I don't know
okay,
if
okay.
that's the approach you want us to take.
Yes, no problem. No problem.
All right.
We could go that. Yeah.
Okay. So
You could just share your screen. Yeah.
can you see my screen?
Not yet. I have to. I'm coming.
Okay.
Uh, you could add it just like Banji did yesterday.
Yes.
You could add it. I will just add it to it as part of. Okay, so while you are doing that, Banji, I could just go to you. From your experience, you said that you are now working in Australia. Can you give us
Yep.
a brief background of your experience in Australia? How did you get to Australia? What are the modes of coming to Australia from your experience?
Okay. Thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
so from my experience, the most common way, most people, especially people from our background, Nigerians and Africans, usually come to Australia is via study. So I find that most people tend to come here for their postgraduate programs, either a master's program or a PhD program. And I also find that I generally don't see a lot of undergraduate as such, maybe due to the distance of Australia from Nigeria. So I really can't say, but there's definitely more people, maybe 98, 99% of people actually here doing their master's or PhD program as compared to the undergraduate program. So that said, though, I do understand that some people, some Nigerians from back home, also migrate to Australia. So similar to what we've got in Canada at the moment, the express entry. So we actually do have some people actually travel to Australia as a migrant directly from Nigeria after they must have done the express entry of Australia and then gotten their visas from overseas.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Thank you very much. I think Alex is ready, right? Let me add
Yeah.
your good. So let me put it on the stream. Yeah, so you could share your
Yeah.
screen now. Yeah, you could share it live. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
continue. Yeah.
Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes, but you have to. Yes, exactly. Perfect. You could put it in
Okay.
slideshow. Slideshow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Good.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, this fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this is just a quick one. I mean, that's my name there. This is just going to be the outline. Basically, tell you a bit about the pathways for you to study in Australia. We'll go through admission and visa processing, a bit of living, and I think I'll focus a bit on the scholarships because I'm sure that is
Yes.
what most people are interested in.
Yeah.
So, just some few facts about studying in Australia. Definitely, we have our top six, which is in the top 100 universities in Australia. When you look at the rankings, rank eighth. It means it has a very good education system. About 80 to 90% of international students always give very good satisfaction scores. So it definitely tells you it's a great place to study. And contrary to what people think, there are lots of scholarships and grants and bursaries actually available. And there are so many possibilities with what you can do with an Australian education or a qualification. And Australians are really proud about their Nobel laureates as well. So I place that in here. What are some of the reasons why you should consider an education in Australia? As I talked about, you get a global, world recognized qualification, you work with a lot of experts. You also gain work experience whilst you study, and it's 40 hours every two weeks.
Wow.
Australia has some low crime rates, so it's a safe place actually to be. Lots great weather if you compare to where Dayo is and the US, a lot of those places. Trust me, you
Yeah.
want to be in Australia. And it's a very multicultural society, so many people, diversity, different perspectives. So you gain a very comprehensive experience in terms of your living and your studying experience. And
Wow.
the good thing is that you can bring your family along, your immediate family along, and your spouse can work full time and support you whilst you study and also work alongside. And for your kids, if you are maybe on a scholarship, you can get a waiver for your school fees for any government school you enroll your kids in. So it's actually a good offer.
Nice.
So the qualifications you can get, we have what we call the foundation courses and or a vocational education and training institution. So prior to entering into an undergraduate or master's or a PhD, sometimes you might not meet the academic requirements of a course, or you need some top ups, as we say in Africa. So you might enroll in a foundation course where you'll be able to build up. If you get the requisite qualifications, you can definitely join. So sometimes you are given some provisional um, application, what do you call it? Admission. Yes.
Yeah.
Some people also take the associate degree pathway, where if you do not have time or you want to work and you can't really do a full bachelor's for 4 years, you can just do an associate degree. And it's also a stepping stone for you to go into the undergraduate or master's or a certificate or a diploma later. We have the bachelor's, which we all know, the master's degree coursework, research, and then a PhD. And then we have what we call the dual and combined degrees. So in Australia, it's quite common to see lots of people doing two majors or two associated degrees at the same concurrently or at the same time. And it's
Oh,
very
nice.
common with arts, law, sciences, health. So you can
Nice.
get someone doing bachelor's in business and a bachelor in law. So maybe the person
Ah.
wants to go into business law. You can get someone doing a bachelor's in music and a bachelor's in law. And you
Wow.
can get someone doing a master's in public health and master's in health management. So you can
Nice.
combine a bachelor's or a master's at the same time. Yes. And we'll talk about the pros and cons as we move on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and this is a bit of an explanation on the dual degrees, as I talked about. And definitely, it's 2 degrees at the same time, so it comes with a lot of cost. So it's more of an attractive option for people with scholarships, or if you have funding. And I gave some simulations. I used the UNSW Simulation Center, and if you look at the first one, you can see that annually you can get your cost is 47,000 if you want to
Yeah.
study one course. If you do
Yeah.
the two at the same time, you get 72,660 Australian dollars.
Wow.
But if you do just sorry, but if you do just one, then it's 48,000 at the end of the course.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can see the difference in the amount you have to pay. Yes.
That makes sense.
Um, yes. For if I'm going too fast, just let me know and I'll slow
Okay. No
down.
problem.
Yes. So the application process, first of all, if you want to go to Australia to study, the first thing is that you have to do a lot of research. And the first place you can go to is school websites. There's a list of all universities in Australia, 43 universities. So you can just go, what are the universities available? You can look for your top six or top eight or top 10 if you want those high achieving universities. or you can contact any international student support services to give you some ideas.
Mm.
And when you go to the research, the site, you'll be able to know the programs they are offering, and that can help you decide what you want. If you're interested in the dual programs as well, you can look at University of New South Wales, University of Sydney, Australian National University. They all do that. The idea is to know the due dates, when to apply, when funding is available, so that you can actually prepare for it.
Okay.
After you have chosen the degrees you want to take in Australia, you have to look at the entry requirements, and you definitely need IELTS or TOEFL. Yeah,
Oh,
that's part of your application.
okay.
Yes, and you need your CV, you need an academic record, and any previous degrees you've had. You have to. Some schools actually waive application fees, but most often you have to pay about $125
Okay.
as part of your application fee. And I talked about the English already. And then you do everything online. Sometimes you can do it yourself. Some universities also prefer that you go through some certain partners, but it's actually very easy, and you don't have to pay anybody to do that. You can do it online.
Mm.
Yes. And I after you have received an offer, if you apply, you're lucky you get an offer. The things you need to do is to accept your offer. You need to pay a deposit. Sometimes it's a part of the fees, could be between $3,000 to $5,000,
Mm.
and you have to get a health cover. And
Okay.
I gave a simulation as well, just to help people to know an idea of how much you have to pay. This is 2 years for a standard master's course. And for a single person, you pay about $1,000. If
Mm.
you are going with your partner, you should pay about 1,005 for, yeah, or 3,000 for 2 years. A year is about 1,005. If it's a family, you're looking at around 3,000 for a year,
Mm.
so 6,000. And
Mm.
these are some of the people that provide it. I would always suggest Medibank because they are good in terms of your claims. They pay
Mm.
upright. Yeah. So the thing is that when you go to the hospital, you might have to pay a bit, and then they reimburse you 100%. Yeah.
Ah, nice.
So the visa you need would be a surplus 500 called a student's visa, and you can go to this Department of Home Affairs website, and that can give you more information about the visa. And when you're applying, everything is done online. We don't even have a label in your passport. It's actually linked to your passport.
Mm.
So wherever you go, you can just print it out. Wherever you go, people can just log in and find out your visa status.
Mm.
And a student visa is up to 5 years, but depending on your course. So if you are doing a 2 year course, actually you might get about 2.5 years. And if you're
Okay.
doing a PhD, they don't give you like 5 years, whether you're going to stay there for a year or 2 or 5 years. And
Okay.
typically it starts from about 630 Australian dollars.
Wow.
So yes, depending on extra things you need, like health cover. If you have to do health assessments and some other things, you might pay away between 600 to 1,000.
Mm.
And typically, what you need for your visa would be you have to show them that if you don't have a scholarship, you have to show them that you have money. And
Okay.
you averagely they assume that you should spend about 20,000 Australian dollars for a year.
Wow.
So yes, for a single person,
That's how much in US dollars.
probably Banji might help, maybe about 16 to 8, 7, 18,000 there.
USD. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. And if you have your family, a wife, maybe you add about, I think about 6,000. If you have a child, 3,000 are added.
Oh.
You also need to show that you have like long-term funds, not just one money just going into your account when you are going for the visa. That is a mistake a lot of people do. You should show like there's money over a 12 months period. You get me? You
Okay.
need to show that if you have children, you have to enroll them in school. You have to show
Mm.
that evidence. If you are less than 18, you have to show what are your welfare arrangements, where you're going to stay. As many documents you present to them, that is when you can get your visa approved as soon as possible.
Mm.
And
Okay.
typically, it takes time. I got mine maybe in about a week, but I'll tell you why I got it in a week. Some you have to wait for 3 to 6 months. So the more documents you give to them, it's easier for you to get it. And
Mm.
then aside the visa, there's visitor visa for those who want to go for graduation. That's not really relevant here. I
Okay.
think Banju will talk about the rest because he's
Yeah. Yeah.
still
Yeah.
there. Yeah, so I'll leave the rest to him to
Yeah.
talk about. Yes. Yes, and I talked about the general pathway for undergraduates and masters, how to enter. But
Okay.
for PhD students, it's there are other options. Aside this general application, where you go to the institution website, look at their PhD, what are the requirements, and you just apply. That's the general application process.
Okay.
Sometimes these projects are also advertised. So if you go to maybe University of Sydney or Melbourne, you can look
Yeah.
at their page. They will show that, oh, there are 5 PhDs being advertised,
Oh,
and you
nice.
decide to join.
Okay.
Aside the universities, there are so many other institutions which advertise, especially for those who are in the health sector. So
Okay.
Kirby Institute, George Institute of Global Health, and then the other schools. So as you are looking, look for the other schools and institutions, and it's easier because a lot of people don't know much about it, and so you can
Mm.
easily get an opposition there. Yes, but if you are looking at the main ones, you need to be very competitive.
Wow.
Aside that, the difficult pathway is looking for supervisors. And if you are not in Australia already and you are in Africa, getting the supervisor is a difficult one because you have to send lots of mails and
Yeah.
trying to find out if people have projects they want to take maybe PhD students along, or you
Yeah.
propose it for people who are in your field, and then you
Hmm.
say, "Oh, this is what I'm interested in." So I think Banji might talk a bit about it, but
Yeah,
these
but
are
we'll
the
talk about
options.
it.
Yes,
Okay.
and then sometimes people to have their own PhDs, so and they have their own funding. Maybe you work with a company that wants to fund you for a PhD, so you just look for an institution and say, "This is what I have. I want to speak to this professor," and then if it works out for you, you go along
Wow.
that path.
That
So these
makes
are the
sense.
various
That makes
options.
sense. Oh, so if I want to summarize the pathways for getting funding and for PhD, you say number one, you can write emails to professors, telling them, send emails, telling them about what you know, send them about your email, about your experience. And then two, you are saying that you can have a research proposal or something and
Yes.
send to the supervisor, this is what I have. I have this idea. Is there a way I can get funding from for this idea, blah, 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 and stuff like that, if I'm correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay. So
exactly.
is there another
Yes.
way again? Or maybe you get external funding.
Yes, some professors have funding. I mean, recently UNSW there was a new project. You know, they are trying to do the mRNA vaccines and AI and all that. So a lot of projects, lots of funding going on. So you can actually
Mm,
look for the professors who are doing that. And
mm,
if you go to their site, oh, these people just got funding. You just shoot them a mail. Hey, I am this. This is what I
wow.
do. I want to see if you are looking for a PhD student. Definitely, they will take a PhD student than a postdoc because it's cheaper to get a PhD student than a postdoc. I mean, that is what I have heard.
Yeah.
And sometimes too, they have their own personal funding so they can support you if you guys are able to click. It's easier if you've done some preliminary work in Australia where you've established rapport with people already. Yeah, or this professor, you know them, so you can talk to them.
Mm,
Nonetheless, it depends on how good you are, if and how good your email is. If you're able to sell yourself in just few words and your CV is really good, and they see the potential in you, yeah, people
mm.
can. Yes, and a very good research proposal. It's easy for you to get funding. Yes.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. Let me quickly throw in these two questions before we move on. Someone says that if you have an HND degree, can you apply for a master's degree in Australia for an HND?
No, as I said, I haven't seen that direct from HND to masters, but you
Okay.
would have to do foundation courses, definitely.
Oh,
That you'd have to go that pathway, or as I talked about associate's degree. I haven't seen that direct pathway from HND to masters when I was doing my search. So if you
okay.
don't meet the requirement, this is the way you can even do a graduate certificate or a diploma, and that can help you to even get onto a bachelor's or a master's, depending on the
Oh,
school.
okay. And all of this is can someone get funding for that for all of this graduate certificate stuff? Is it funded?
Yes, I'll talk about the funding soon.
Okay.
Undergraduates, there are options, but you
Okay.
need to. Okay, I'll talk about it. But yeah, there are funding
Yeah, we
options.
talk about the funding. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's important. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so let me just quickly go through. This is just basically telling you about life in Australia. It's actually just a balance between serious work and fun. They're very friendly, welcoming people, but you need to have a lot of respect for their cultures and the different cultures that are around.
Mm,
Accommodation options are available depending on how much you want to spend. There are homestays, hostels, if you want your own accommodation. And the good thing about Australia is that, I mean, because of the COVID, there are so many relief opportunities. Some of
mm.
us who were on scholarship, we have what we call the concession local card. So we pay less than half of what we people pay for transport. So if I get on a
Wow.
train or a bus, I pay less.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's very good if you get a government scholarship. You
Nice.
don't have to pay much for fund and travel. And Australia, you can decide not to buy groceries if you are
Mm,
very smart. Yes, that's what we call the Oz Harvest, the food hubs, the farmers market, paddy's market, and most schools actually have it. You can decide to be going there and getting a ticket, and every week you go for a box of food. So people
Nice.
go for tomatoes, potatoes, and all these things, and you don't have to buy groceries. Yes, if you're very smart, you won't go for shopping every week.
Wow,
And
that's
there are
nice.
social, yes, there are beaches, barbecues all the time. Lots of African students groups in the universities. So you have to go, and there are lots of African shops. But I always tell people that I don't think you're from Africa, you've had African food the whole time. So I think you should
Yeah.
explore a very multicultural environment. Don't
Wow.
be stuck to your goosey and
And
your
your
banga all the time. Eat,
yeah.
yeah, eat the other things as well. You gotta try and get to know people. And that's how you build your networks. And you have to learn a bit of how they speak because they tend to abbreviate a lot of things. So if you're not careful, you might not really understand them. But as time goes on, you get to know. But the most important thing is just explore. Yes,
Mm,
and while she study. Yeah.
that makes
So
sense. So let's talk
yes,
about scholarship. Yeah.
yes, I think that's what most people are interested in.
Yeah, let's talk about scholarship.
So
How can we get
yeah.
scholarship?
So the main things, the main scholarship opportunities, we have what we call the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. They handle what we call the Australia Awards Master's Scholarship and Australia Awards Short Courses. And then we have what we call the Destination Australia Program, which was launched in 2019. We have the RTP, which is the Research Training Program for research students, solely for research students. And then we have the provider scholarships. If you're an undergraduate from Africa, you should be looking at the provider scholarships, unfortunately, or the
Okay.
Destination Australia program. But that one is not fully funded. If you want a fully funded, you should be looking at the provider scholarships. Yes.
Provider
And
scholarship.
yes,
Wow.
and those
For
ones
for
are
undergrad.
provided
For undergraduate
for
students.
undergraduates. Yeah, I have a table
Wow.
later on to
I'm
show.
hearing this
And
for the first time. I don't know.
yes, I'll show you a slide. That's yes,
Okay.
and that one it's provided by the no, actually just provided it's just by the universities. So an
Oh boy.
education provider, yes, gives these scholarships depending on your academic merits and your experience.
Wow.
So yes. So for master students in Africa, this is what you should be looking for. Unfortunately, PhD where Africa is not there yet. We are hoping that soon they add that. But for
Wow.
masters, this is what you should be targeting. You should be an African between 25 to 52 years. You should not be enrolled in a master's program, or this is going to be your first master's. That's I will stress on because they investigate and they will find out.
Okay.
You should be second class lower and above, and your bachelor should be at 4 years, at least 4 years. So those who did 2, 3.5, and others, unfortunately, you do not qualify. You should have a 4 years bachelor's. You should
Wow.
have a job. You should be in a mid-level or senior level. And
Oh.
this, I would say that with my experience, you don't have to be a boss. You just have to show that you are very influential and you're passionate about what you do, and you're able to convince them as to what you have done within the position. This is what I've been doing. This is the outcome, and which people, how have I been able to impact people? That is what you need to prove as part of your application. You should have worked at least 3 years in the field you are in
In
and
your
where you want to
in
go.
in your
Yes.
in that same field.
Yes, you
Okay.
should be for 3 years. And in your application, as I said, the most important thing is demonstrate a clear vision of how the knowledge you have gained will be able to improve policy, practice, and reform. So when you
Wow.
are writing your application, you have to look at how you improve policy in your country, how you improve practice in your country, and how you or reform your country. So for health people, for example, if you are looking at maybe neglected tropical diseases, you know that Buruli ulcer is not the place that is receiving a lot of funding. So how
Yeah.
do you want to improve policy? You want to advocate, you want to form an NGO or an advocacy group, and what have you been doing so far about it? How do you want to improve practice? You want to maybe do community development by going to people to hospitals to help with the Buruli care and all that. So you should show how you want to do these things, and they will assess how it's going to be beneficial to your home country, and then they will pick you. The good news is that Nigeria is part, Ghana is part, I think Kenya. Unfortunately, a lot of countries have been moved off the list,
Okay.
but there's so many other African countries there. So you go to their page, you find out if your country is there. And you have to write IELTS or TOEFL, but this is not to scare you. Actually, Australia IELTS and TOEFL, um, I think it's about 6.5 for those big
Yeah.
courses, but
Yeah.
averagely,
6.5. Yeah.
yes, averagely 5.5 and 4 for the visa and some courses. You can easily get through actually, so you don't have to
Okay.
stress much about the IELTS. And then your visa, as I told you, you have to satisfy some conditions, show that you are going to come back. If you
Okay.
are looking at staying in Australia for a longer period, the caveat with Australia Awards is if you are able to successfully get a fully funded PhD scholarship after, you
Mm-hmm.
can continue. but you always have to come back to Africa to help for 2 years. That you
Mm.
always have to come back. So if you are somebody who wants to go and not show your face in Africa again,
Yeah.
know that you have to come and do 2 years for Africa before you can be free. Yes.
What if the person does not want to, come back to Africa? What happens?
Yeah, so let me tell you why you need to come back. And this is the
Okay.
benefits. The scholarship is going to pay for all your tuition fees. So if your cost is 72,000, 50,000, everything will be cleared for you. All your visa expenses, everything will be paid. They'll give you a flight when they'll pay for your flights when you're going. When you're coming back, they'll pay for it. If you're doing a 2-year program during December, if you want to come back and visit your family, they'll pay for your flight as well.
Mm.
When you
Mm.
get to Australia, you get $5,000 for you to establish yourself. So pay, buy laptop, settle
Wow.
accommodation. They give you $5,000.
Yeah,
They
a
give
big
you
boy.
yes, they they give you 1,150 Australian dollars every 2 weeks. So over
Wow.
2,000 every month. So average about
Wow.
28,000 a year. Yes. So if you are there for 2 years, you get that every 2 weeks you get $1,000,
Mm.
and they pay for your medicals as well, so you don't have to pay for anything. There's $500 every 6 months. So if you are struggling in your studies and you need to maybe do some professional courses, let's say I'm doing statistics and I say, oh, there's an R program or a Python program going on, and it will help with my course. You just
Mm.
tell them, they'll pay for it for you. If you're
Mm.
going for a conference, you just tell them, they'll pay for you. And for research students too, they pay for your field work. So looking
Right.
at all these specs, you just go to Australia. All you have to do is just concentrate on your academics. And
Wow.
why wouldn't you want to come back and give back to Africans? And
That's true.
aside that, if during the interviews, before when if you are shortlisted, you actually go for a pre-interview session where they tell you how the interview is going to be like. And that
Okay.
one you actually hosted in a hotel and you
Wow.
are fed the whole day. Yes, they
Ah,
feed you just to tell you how the
ah,
interview is
ah.
going to go. I'm telling you.
Oh boy.
And if you don't live, if you don't, let's say that it's happening in Ghana, or let me use Ghana, and you are not in Accra, and you are maybe 3 hours away. If you tell them
Wow.
that, oh, you can't come because it's far, they'll host you in the hotel for how many days you want to be there, just for
Wow.
you to have the session. So they really take care of people. They are very generous. So if you're a
Wow.
master, if you're looking at masters, this is what you should be looking at.
Makes
And
sense. Makes
yes,
sense.
yeah. And the areas usually they are interested in is agriculture, extractives, so the minerals,
Wow.
health, public health, mental health,
Wow.
journalism, media, public policy, law. These are the
Ah,
areas.
ah.
So they are interested in all these things. So it's a lot of gender studies as well, and they encourage a lot of females, people with disabilities. If you have a chronic illness, actually they encourage you to apply. So if you are HIV, you have hepatitis B, all those
Wow.
chronic illnesses, sickle cell, you should know that actually you stand a higher chance of actually getting a scholarship. And
Wow.
women,
Wow.
yes,
Wow. Wait. We need to do this. You need to do this again so that people can hear. So you mean
yes,
that anybody in this sector, in
yes,
agriculture, in policy, in environment, in health, in technical vocation training, especially if you have chronic illness, you can
yes. If
apply
you
for
have,
this scholarship and you have higher chances?
yes, the
Oh,
one thing about Australia is they are not discrimination is they don't like discrimination. So if you have a
wow.
chronic illness, you're encouraged to apply. If you have disability, you are encouraged to apply. And actually, they like people who do a lot of disability studies and physiotherapy. So there are so many
Ah,
alumni who are actually in that field. Yes. So if you don't feel that, oh, because maybe I'm sickle cell or I have this cancer or something, I have to go for hospital care and all those things, I'll not be eligible to apply. No. Australia actually encourages you to open up and tell them. And there's actually a big support system for you. So
wow.
please apply,
This
irrespective
is
of your condition.
nice. I
Yes.
didn't even know a lot about this, about Australian awards. I didn't know.
Yes.
I only
Yes.
know what I read online. I didn't know it's as deep as this. This is really nice.
Yeah.
I need to tell all my village people.
Yeah, you need to tell your people. And for those who cannot actually go to and do a master's, there's something we
Yeah.
call the short courses. And I would encourage a lot of professionals in Africa to take advantage of this. So what we do is a 6 weeks course that is organized by the university. So if you want an Australian experience, let's say there's a program on public health and you are interested, you can get a 6 weeks course that is fully funded. They pay for your accommodation, your travel, your expenses, your stipend. They'll give everything to you if you are working in that field. And it's a 6 weeks program organized, maybe 4 weeks in Australia, 2 weeks in maybe in South Africa or Kenya, or sometimes only in Australia. And these are the areas, as I talked about. You can just get that, go there, finish it. You get a bit of certificate, and then you come back, you continue. And you can apply for as much as you want to apply. And
Makes
everything
sense.
is paid for. Yes. So if you can't go for a master's, this is an opportunity as well. Yes.
Wow.
Quickly, I'll brush through. Apart from the fully funded, this is for those who want to go to the regional areas. So you can't be in, say, Sydney or Melbourne where all the life is, but regional areas, Newcastle and all those places,
Nice.
it's all rural areas. You also get the scholarship, and it's
Oh,
actually not fully funded. It's 15,000 a year, and you can apply for how many years you want. So you look for universities which
wow.
have this, and you apply. University of Newcastle, you can look at all those places and see if they have this there.
Mm.
Yes, and then for the research, I think this is big for the PhDs or masters by research. You
Okay.
also get your fees, yes, cancelled if you get this scholarship, and so you don't have to
Ah,
worry about fees. You also get about 28,000 stipend as well,
wow.
and they also give you allowances. So before you come, I've heard from PhD students that they tell you about relocation costs. So they give you some relocation cost. They also give you some allowances for your thesis printing publication cost, and you can
Man.
also sorry, bring your family along. So either once you're applying for your visa, you can add them to it by your immediate family and children who are no more than 18 years, or later
Oh,
they can join you. But I will always advise that you maybe get there first, try and settle in, and then you can bring your family, because
makes
it's a bit
sense.
of a headache when you carry everybody there, and now you have to juggle between school and then the kids. And this is not Africa
Yeah.
where you can just leave kids there and then nobody takes care of them, or a child can say no. You need to have a system for them. So that
Wow.
is what I would say. Yes, and that one is also by the universities. So every university, I know University of Queensland, UQ, and Melbourne, they do a lot of adverts. They are trying to get a lot of people to come. So, and you should take advantage, because people haven't come to Australia since 2020. Sorry. So there are opportunities there. So you should try and apply, get an RTP, and you can always, yeah, get all these funding available. And
Wow.
if you go to the site IDP Australia, they tabulate the options that are available according to the states. So this is a
Oh,
site. I'll give it to Dio for him to put it there. So
yeah,
I
wait.
took New South Wales. That is where Sydney is. And this is a table. There's a long table, but I took a part because people have been asking for undergraduate. So if you see the University of Sydney, the first one, there's the Vice Chancellor International Scholarship Scheme. There's one
Yes.
for undergraduates as well. And this is also for
Wow.
masters. And it's up to 40,000. And you get me. And you can see the ongoing there. Yes. So and it's based on academic merit.
Honestly, I
So
didn't know that Australia has a lot of undergraduate scholarship like this. I did not even imagine. I don't
yes, so you
know.
see our undergraduate students in agricultural science, the next one, 3,000. So when you go, you look for the big ones. There's 20,000 from UNSW. So there are options. If you go to the site, you see it based on states. So if you're interested in Melbourne, you go to that state, you look at the options, and you go to the school and find out. And you look at the ongoing. So there are so many options there. Just make
Wow.
sure that you are competitive enough and your application is strong. Yes.
Wow.
And
It's
these are
really
the
nice.
helpful sites you can get this information from, and you can also connect with all of us alumni, African students in
Wow.
Sydney, and we'll be able to help you. Yes, thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, my brother. God bless you. Thank you so much. Let's quickly take some questions. And Banji, you could also help us in some of answering some questions before we go to the second part. We've answered the second one. Let me see this question. It says, it's on the screen. Must you be a graduate before you start making these scholarship applications, or can you start in your final year?
You can actually start in your final years. The most important thing, as I said, there's a criteria. So you should be able to show your transcript as part of your application. And if you're able to show that, oh, you are doing so well and you are going to graduate with this in this range above 2.2, you're not trailing courses and all that, you are okay. And even if you're not doing so well, as I told you, there's an option. Just look for a foundation course and just enroll there, and you'll be
Wow.
able to build on. And one thing I forgot to add,
Okay.
I had friends who are using the vocational and the training routes as well. So it's not always about being in the formal or education or corporate. If you are, let's say, interested in catering, hospitality sector, and disability care, social care, and all those things, you can go to these training institutions. I had a mate who came from Philippines. He was doing a catering, started like with certificates, and he's now doing his diploma. From there, he goes to a bachelor's like that, and he's on his way to become a chef. So
Wow.
for TVET people, you also know that Australia is ready to take you as well. Yes.
Wow. Oh, that's nice. Thank you very much. I see this question. I says that if one is coming via full scholarship from the school, will the person still need to attach a bank statement when applying for visa?
This will just be like mine. I went to Australia school. There's no need for that. And I'll tell you that if you have full scholarship, you don't have to. It depends on who is providing. See, the Department of Foreign Affairs or Education, they handle everything for you. I didn't have to do anything. I just sat
Oh,
down in my house. I get a mail. Yeah, so there's a company in South Africa called Palladium that handles everything. So I just sit
wow.
down. I get a mail. I like submit this. I just send a mail, and they do it. They actually approached my universities for me. So I saw the courses. I said, "Oh, this is what I wanted,"
Mm,
and then they handled all the application. They approached the schools for me, and they approached two schools.
mm.
So they do everything for you. All I just sat in my house and got a mail that you've been accepted. That is all.
Wow.
So you don't have to
Wow.
apply a bank statement if you have full scholarship. Yeah.
Wow. I
Just
also heard,
but no,
okay, yeah, continue.
sorry, just show that if it doesn't include stipends or your living expenses, then you would have to show how you're going to fend for yourself.
Oh,
Yes.
I see. I see. So you need to be very careful. Know the kind of scholarship you have, if it's full, if it's half. I also heard that in some Australian universities you need agents to get scholarship,
Yes,
to
some of
get
them.
admission. Yeah, is
Yes.
it true?
Yes, yes, you do. I even talk about the IDP people as well. They have counselors. Yes, so you can use agents as well. Some universities want that, but I can tell you there are so many universities where you don't have to actually go through university and agents. Just go to their international student support service or talk to some alumni, and you get all the information. And this is one session, so you can always look for Dial, you can look for Banji, you can look for me, and we're able to give you information or send you to the right links, and you can apply. Now we're in a technological world. You don't need to really
Yeah,
depend on people to do this for you. Just go
yeah,
online. Every information is there. And you just
yeah.
apply, and you don't have to pay anything.
Okay. Thank you very much. Another question says, does Australia take MA linguistics? Someone is asking this question.
I honestly, I don't think this by feels. I don't really
So you
know,
can, yeah, the
but
person can always search. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
always look for it for you later. But I can't really tell you. I don't
Okay.
know. I'm sorry.
yeah. Or you
Okay.
might,
No.
or you might just send an email to a school that you know that's offering that course. Just yeah, I'm confident that there's going to be a few schools that actually take that offer that course. So just go to their website and look for a contact and just send them an email. They'll pretty much respond as soon as possible, and they're
Oh,
going to let you know whether or
that's
not it's
nice.
possible. But I do perceive that that these are some of the programs that are available here. And on the agent side of things, so yes, so some schools will actually require you to go through an agent, and most of those agents, especially back home, do require you to pay their own agency fees. So what I did when I was coming in 2016 was to go to an agent, but what I did was to go to a career fair day. So on career fair day back home in Nigeria, you actually don't pay anything. So you don't have to.
Oh,
So they waived it. So I didn't pay a dime coming here.
nice. Smart guy. Niger
Yeah,
guy.
so I just look for the PFL and the PFL, for example. I will go to their website and then ask
Mm,
them, "Hey guys, when is your next open application day or career fair?" Yeah, so
uh,
they've got them in Lagos, they've got them in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, in Ibadan. So
yeah.
I just went there and just submitted my document, and the guy actually applied to the schools for me and got me the offers. And then and this same person actually applied for my visa, so without paying anything. Although I had to pay
Oh,
my visa fees by myself.
I see.
Otherwise, it's actually free. So if you're concerned about agency fees, so I would definitely advise you to go through an agent on a day that have their career fair so that you can enjoy the free
For free.
application.
Thank you very much. So this is very important for those asking for. I think this also answered this question. Is there an application fee waiver for graduate programs in Australia? So the waiver would just be to go on their career day. Am I correct, Banji?
Yeah, look, if you go to all those agents in Nigeria, just target a day that they're actually having their fairs, and then you will definitely get a full waiver. I did in 2016, and I know one or two persons that got the waiver as well. And that said, if you're talking to a school that do not actually work with agents, I think you can just send them an email as people do for US and Canada. I mean, just as Alex has said, we're in an internet world, so I'll just send them an email and say, look, I'm interested in your school. Look, this is my situation, and then is it possible for me to get a waiver? And trust me, you don't know what you might just get. So they might tell you, okay, sure, yeah. So that might actually just be possible. So the fact that no one has done it before doesn't mean you can't do it, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. You might just be the first person, and then you start educating people how you got your.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Okay, so let me. Someone is asking this. What's the name of the company in South Africa that assists with the process? Is there any company in South Africa that assists with any process?
I'm sure whoever is talking about the Australia Awards one, that one is Palladium.
Okay.
Yes, but you don't have to go through them. You just have to go to the Australia Awards Africa site. Unfortunately, it's on hold now because of the restrictions.
Yeah.
We can't really enter Australia now. But you don't have to talk to them or look for them.
Okay.
When Australia Awards you are shortlisted, they will contact you themselves, and then they will help you with everything. Yes.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, now someone is saying something. After coming back for 2 years, can the person return to Australia? What are the chances and how does it work for your Australia award? Because I think that's the award you won, right?
Yes. So yes, you can. I would say that coming 2 years after you come back, you can always go. Yes, you can always go. You just have to serve for your 2 years, and you can all go back and do whatever you want to do. You can go and stay there, like where Banji is there. You can do whatever you want to do. Just make sure that you have come there come to Africa for 2 years to come and contribute to development in Africa.
Oh, I see.
And with your chances, you have a higher chance of actually getting your visa to go back because already you are an alumnus, and you have a bit the embassy in your country. I mean, you have some relationship with them, and if you came back to you have an alumni group, so they know you, and so it shows that, oh, this boy really or this girl really followed with the commitment or the promise they made, come to contribute. And if you are even excelling in your field, it's easier to convince them that, oh, you want to go there and you develop yourself, but you still have ties to Africa and all that. So yes.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Now, someone is asking that I should shed more light on research proposal. Yeah, that's true. For most Australian schools that he has seen, research proposal seems to be a major criterion for thesis masters. For people sending emails to professors, not the Australian award, for people sending emails to professors that wants funding for masters or their PhD.
Yes. So from what I have seen people do, for especially with the Africans who are doing their PhDs or people who wanted PhDs, in their first mail that they send to their professors, you have to introduce yourself, talk about what are the opportunities there. You have to at least tell them what you have done, if you have any publications, and then you tell them the ideas you have. So if you go to LinkedIn and all that, you're advised, or YouTube, you're advised that you have to write not the full thing. Sometimes you can send the full thing if you want to. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but at least you can send a bit, like a research statement, yes, to show what you are interested in. If they read it, it's like a one-page document, and then they say, oh, okay, this is good, and then the person wants to have more conversation with you or says, oh, you can add a link that I can send you the full research proposal if you are still interested. But at least a statement should show in there. Sometimes too, if you see the advert, they will talk about contact this person. So if there's a project, and you're contacting them, definitely you have to show what ideas you have in terms of their project or what you think you'll be doing to add to the project. Yes. So that's what I can say with this one.
Okay. Thank you very much. Someone is asking how competitive is the process. There's competition everywhere. There is competition everywhere. You just have to be smart, Mr. Lawal. You have to be smart. I can answer that one because it's a general question. Uh, it depends on how much you can, how faster you can, and how smart you are in terms of using all of this information. So I mean,
And
okay,
Dayo, can I say a quick one?
yeah.
I think that as Africans, we need to be smart, and you also need to know what you're going for. So if
Mm,
you know the Australia Awards is what you want, as you're working, try and do stuff which are impactful. Let's say join groups, join these social events in your company. If there's a project going on, join, so that at the end of it you can say, okay, I joined this project and this is what we were able to achieve, or this is what I specifically did. I think for me, what helped me was the fact that I could prove to them what I have been doing with my time and the impacts that it's having in the community. If you are able to show them through examples and not just
mm,
telling them abstract things, because they've heard all the theories, what you want to do, the beautiful ideas, but in your own small space, what are you doing? If you're able to convince them,
mm, true.
then trust me, they will all be happy with you.
Mm,
I help if you are in public policy, or maybe I did a survey, and as I was on the survey, I went to a community and people were doing maybe struggling or something, or there were women who were not really empowered. So I did a session for them and talked about gender empowerment. I
mm,
kept in contact with 5 people, and I always give them advice. I go to help them with vocational institutions. Right now, I have 2 people who are employed and they are taking care of their own
yeah,
families.
yeah.
That is a beautiful story. So this is an
Mm,
example. Yeah.
this makes sense. I mean, just whatever you are, just be doing volunteering activities and let it make sense. Somebody is asking this question, very funny. You didn't mention engineering. Is it that they have low chances in Australia? Like before you
No,
answer the question, let me chip in this. This is the way people who are non-STEM always feel attacking
yeah.
us. They say we guys on Twitter, we write tweets and we put a lot of stuff on science, on STEM. That what of they in art, in humanities, and all of that. So now,
Yeah.
because your field is not in engineering, you guys, 2 of you are in public health, you are not mentioning engineering. It does not mean that engineering is not involved. It's not. It does not mean, but that's the way people feel. So answer the question.
Yeah. Well, as I told you, I mean, it's not only STEM. I talked about law, I talked about media, I talked about journalism, and all these. They are all priority areas for these scholarships I talked about. And so Australia is actually big on the social sciences as well. And engineering, there's a visa actually for engineering. It was one of my slides. If you finished an engineering course in Australia, there's one visa that you can actually apply for, and you can stay there for 18 months
Wow.
after your, yes, but you don't have to be more than 31 years. So there's
Okay.
one visa specifically for Australian engineering graduates. Yes.
Wow.
So definitely you have higher chances. They think about you as well,
That's
Lawal.
nice.
So
So, Mr. Lawal, I think they think about us. We're engineering students, so they think about us. Okay, so last question here before we move to the other part, which is very important too. Are there postdoctoral fellowships or PhD scholarships in education?
yes, there is. I mean, Australia has over 2,000 courses,
What?
and so yes, over 2,000 courses. So there's for everything, and sometimes you see very interesting courses that you wonder like, Africans, nobody would want to do this course, but they have it there. So
Wow.
just go on a site, just type in. When you go to every university website, find a course is there. You will see that. Find a course. Just type in your program, and then you just find something. Yes.
Mm. That's
And the
really nice.
postdoc, yeah, fellowships are available as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for some finally, how about someone that's not interested in scholarship but self-funding? What is the best advice? Is there a post-study visa? And what are chances of? Yeah, that's where we are going now. Thank you, Mr. Lawa. This your question will lead us to the next stage, which talks about permanent residency, getting a job, staying, working in Australia. Thank you very much. So we are going to invite Mr. Banji. Mr. Banji is, how do I call it? Is he an HR director?
No.
because he knows basically about how to stay and work. And to shock you, he has his permanent residency in Australia. So Sabanji is a big boy. Let me tell all of you. He has his PR. He does not need his Nigerian passport to be stamped before coming to Nigeria again. So he has his permanent residency. So he can go and come back anytime, just like we have PR in Canada. So he's going to work us out from school. Let's assume that you are in Australia now. What can you do after schooling to make sure that you get a job? You can stay, as the things you can do, and how to move on in life, and also a bit about the visa processing. So, Mr. Banji, please, you can, with a practical example of your story, because you told me your story yesterday, which is quite interesting. I would like that you tell the audience, sorry, excuse me, how
Yeah, yeah.
you just start about, you just start from your own story, and then you can now generalize it. Thank you.
All right, sure. Thanks, Mr. Dio. So my name is Banji, as you guys already know. So I arrived in Australia February 2016 to, just like most people, it's coming here to study. I enrolled in a UQ. So UQ is University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia. So so that course was for 18 months. So I completed that course within 18 months, and in Australia, so there are definitely many visas, as Alex has already mentioned. So there are definitely many visas, especially for those that have just completed their studies. So similar to what you have in Canada. So you've got the post-study visa. And the minimum is that if you have studied in Australia for a minimum of 2 years, so you get a 2 years worth of post-study work visa that actually allows you to stay in Australia and work. And so for someone who completed his or PhD, for example, you obviously get more years because the PhD is longer, is 3 to 4 years. So you get about 4 years work visa.
Nice.
Work visa.
Wow. So MSc 2 years, PhD 4 years.
So
Even
bachelor.
in Canada, sorry, even in Canada is 3 years.
So essentially, so bachelors and masters by coursework, they get 2 years. Masters by research, MPhil, they get 3 years. Wow. I believe. However, those that have completed their PhD degrees get 4 years to work. So it is usually in this space of time that most people work their way towards getting, residencies and eventually becoming Australian citizens. So yes, so there's a lot of pathways. So as I was saying about myself, I completed my first master's at UQ in 2017 in July, and so because that was 18 months, so I also sort of proceeded with another master's degree here as well. So not just because I wanted to extend the time, obviously, but because I actually wanted that extra degree, and thankfully that extra degree was just 1 year. So I completed the first degree 18 months and then an extra 12 months, and obviously that qualified me for the 2-year post-study visa. So within these 2 years, then, so I now looked at my options as regards wanting to stay a bit longer, just to get more work experience, and then I realized I have to do some assessment. I need to do some English language tests, just so I can be eligible for the permanent residency. So of course this is very similar to the express entry.
Yes.
It's very similar.
In Canada,
so they are both point-based system. It's usually based off your age, whether your age, your academic qualifications, your work experience, whether you've studied in Australia. So again, the more points you have, the better. Okay, so I completed my second master's in 2018, and thankfully I was able to get a job in 2019, which eventually led to my nomination for my permanent residency. So I got the Global Talent Visa by the Australian government in 2020. So that's actually a new visa. So it was helpful in that it helped me to really focus on work. So I've got a really short presentation that I'm going to share.
Okay. Share your slide, yeah.
Yeah, so this presentation really just talks about career, how you can get a job, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in the US. So it's not just specific to those in Australia. So I essentially want to show you some of the tips and tricks that I was able to use to get a job in Australia, despite the fact that I didn't have a permanent resident at that time, and despite the fact that I was still considered an entry level person. Yeah. So I'm just going to share my slide now. If you just give 1 sec, please. Just give me a sec. Share screen.
Okay, so let me add. Yeah. Good.
Are we all good?
Yes, we are good. Yeah, let me remove this question. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So currently I work full time, but I like to spend some of my time mentoring young people, those in school, those that have just completed their schools, especially those outside of their own countries, just to encourage them that look, you can actually get jobs in your field after your study. So don't feel stuck. But however, you just have to be very smart about it. Yeah. So I've specifically designed this workshop for those looking to actually get into school, and then after their studies get a job after school in their profession. And this presentation will also be really useful for those currently in school, especially outside of their own countries, and so that they can get a job right after their studies without needing to wait unnecessarily.
Nice.
And and of course, my focus is also on recent graduates, those that have just completed their schools in any part of the world and looking to find a job in their industry. So basically, I have two objectives. So at the end of this session, really, you should be able to really understand why you need to start your job search as early as possible. So using myself as a case study, and how to also position yourself for your dream job in the industry.
Okay.
Yeah. So quickly, I usually like to start with a sort of icebreaker, just to get people warmed up. So I had this very close friend of mine that I work with, and this guy shared an experience with me that one day after his university degree, that it was actually all out looking for jobs. So this guy is actually a Nigerian, okay, and then this guy went to a firm that was headed by a Westerner, so someone a boss that's from the US or from the UK. And then this guy handed this boss his resume, saying that, look, I need a job, okay? And the boss asked him, okay, can I have your resume? So this guy handed over the resume and said, look, here's my resume, just give me a job in your company. And then the boss, because of his background, and because this guy actually read animal science, okay, so the boss looked at the CV and checked his degree and said, you finished with animal science, but this is an engineering firm. We don't have any animal here. What are you here to do? Yeah, so it was, so obviously to him it was funny, because as as Nigerians, really, we think that if we've done any course, okay, that we can just walk into
any industry,
and just find me a job. I think I can fit in here, just get me this job. And but in a Western society, I'm going to tell you first that things are actually different. So you can't just complete any degree and then you walk into any firm and believing they're just going to take you because you've gone to school. So essentially, going to school and completing a degree does not work with that. In that you can work in anywhere. And for me, one big lesson is that you ought to ultimately be judged by your academic qualifications
Yeah.
and also your personal branding,
Yeah.
especially if you're looking for jobs outside your home country
Yeah.
in Western societies. Okay.
True.
Yeah. So about me, I've shared some bit of information about me. So I've been here for about 6 years. I completed my master's degree. I currently work full time in the healthcare setting, and on the side, just whenever I've got some time, I do like to talk to young people about how they can get jobs in the industry. Yeah. So I'm going to share its tips. Its tips I feel will be useful for those that will soon be looking for jobs, or those currently looking for jobs, especially outside their own country. So I think so. The first one is that early preparation is key. Okay, early preparation and then planning are key. So as Alex has said, so you have to be able to envision where you're going, and then make plans, prepare to actually achieve these goals. Because I find that most people, especially those in school, say for example, someone get into school, a bachelor's degree, for example, a 4-year bachelor's degree, you find that most people don't actually start looking for jobs until after they've completed their degree. So that will probably be the first time that most people will actually sit down and say, okay, let me get my resume done. Let me get my
Yeah.
CV. So in this case, it won't work. And I'm going to tell you why. So
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so you really don't have to wait up until the last minute, because by the time you finish your school, and then you're now preparing your application. Trust me,
Yeah.
yeah, time is already gone. The time is already against you,
Mm.
because you had some people, your colleagues, that these guys, while they were in school, they've actually started preparing as regards to which sort of jobs they will actually want to get, and they started
Mm-hmm.
aligning their skills and their interests towards those jobs and those companies. So, I encourage you to start thinking about your job search immediately you commence your graduate or your undergraduate program. And the way schools are actually designed is that they don't teach you how to get jobs in school. So their job is to teach you about your course, and then you
Mm-hmm.
pay your fees, or you get a scholarship, and then you do your graduation, and then you get your diploma, your transcript, and then you go. So most schools don't really teach you how to get jobs. So which is why you find lots of people spending their time online, on LinkedIn, or on Twitter,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, teaching people how to get jobs. And in today's world, I'm going to be very honest with you. Your transcript and your degrees might not just be sufficient to
Hey.
for you to get jobs. Yeah, because employers want more, and because a school is different from a workplace. So in school, you just go to class, you read, and write exams and pass your exams. Well, at work, you're dealing with real life challenges every day. Okay, so employers, so most of them are actually not convinced that if you've gone to school, that school is actually sufficient for you to be a true professional. So have this at the back of your mind, that you actually need to do some bit of extra work, on yourself, and then be in a pole position to get the jobs that you actually need. So for this first tip, I'll encourage you to start planning early. Start preparing early, in your first year, in your first semester. I encourage you to start thinking about the jobs the sort of jobs that you actually want to get when you finish your school. I encourage you to start developing your skills,
Mm.
for those jobs as well. So, and the benefit is that you're just going to reduce your wait times. Once you finish school, you don't have to wait for. You probably won't have to wait as as some people wait for a year or 2 years or 3 years in some cases. Some people say they've been looking for jobs in 2 years that they haven't got a job. So you have to start planning and preparing early. So the second tip that I generally advise is that understand your skills, okay, your strength, and what motivates you. Okay, so you're in school, for example, and you're studying. So in my case, I was studying Masters of Public Health, and I also did Masters of Health Services Management. So I knew that, look, I like numbers. Okay, I like numbers. I like data. Okay, so while I was in school, I started attending on-campus trainings and courses, external courses, even online on say data analysis, data analytics, and yeah, those sort of courses that would sort of boost my profile before the employer. So I started learning these things while I was in school. I did not wait until I finished school to start learning these things. So I knew that in order for me to get a job in this particular field, these are the things the employer will actually ask me. And since I know that these are actually some of my skills, and so I started boosting, improving on this skill so that I can be ready by the time I'm actually ready to start looking for work. So you need to know what you're good at, okay? And it's very easy to actually forget what you're good at. Trust me, it's easy. I get to talk to a lot of young people, and I ask them, so what are your strengths? What do you think you're good at? And they forget. They don't really know. It's not that they're not good, but because you're trying to interview yourself. It's not very easy for you to get it. Yeah. So what I do encourage people is that you actually need to start writing down the things that you think you're good at.
That's a big issue. Many people don't even know their strength.
But yeah, people don't really know that. Some people don't really know their strength, and by the time you ask them, they might just keep. They'll just be saying things that are vague. They don't really. So as much as possible, I actually encourage you to write these things down. So write down your skills, and if you don't know, ask people that are actually very dear to you, those that that will actually be very honest with you, those that know you very well. Ask them, dear one, what do you think I'm good at, whether in school or even your family members? Ask them that, what do they think you're good at? So knowing all these things will actually help you to better prepare for the sort of jobs you should be targeting when you're ready to start looking for jobs. So because ultimately you want to look for a job that matches your skills, that matches your strengths. So you don't want to get a job if you actually get a job eventually, but get a job that that won't match with your skills, and then what's going to happen is that you're just going to start struggling. You won't like the job, and your employer will most likely not even enjoy your services because you're not giving the best. Okay. So one key thing I sort of advise people to start doing. Okay. So while you're in school, you should start writing your CV. Okay. I have a template. You can just actually start writing your CV, your accomplishment. Okay. Start writing your CV. It's not that you actually want to start applying for these jobs, no. But you're taking stock of your skills, of your accomplishment, of those things that you've actually done, so that if you're ready to start applying for maybe scholarships, or some sort of short course or trainings or jobs, you can actually have something to refer back to and then pull ideas into your applications. So I encourage you to start writing your CV as soon as possible. And one mistake most people make in these Western countries is that so for example, I came here and I brought my Nigerian CV, okay? So initially, I was applying for jobs at the initial stage, and I saw that these employers were not calling me. And then
Yeah, they
and
won't.
I checked with someone, and then someone said, "Look, I think your resume is faulty." So
Oh,
essentially, yeah. So essentially, you have to make sure that you're using the right format. So your
okay.
Nigerian has got your date of birth, your state of origin, your age. All those things don't really work in all these Western countries. So they have their own format. So they have their own format. Yeah. So you have to get their format, and you can
Okay.
also always talk to your international office in school. So those
Yeah.
guys are usually for or career services, or talk to someone who does maybe career coaching.
Very
In that,
important.
yeah, very important. So before you even get started, so you have to make sure that you're submitting your CV or resume on the appropriate format. Otherwise, they're just going to put your application in the bin.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So the number three tip that I would advise is that, look, as I've said in the last two slides, is that you have to start thinking about your job search while you're in school. So yeah, so I call it passive job search. So
Yeah.
active job search is that you're actually applying for this job. So but passive is that you're actually searching. You go to say Jobberman, for example.
Yeah.
Jobberman is just, okay. You just put say you are an engineer, and then you're actually going to get jobs.
Yeah. You
Therefore,
get some.
and
Yeah.
then,
Originally.
yeah, and then read up what they require. Okay, read it up. Check their requirements. Are there software, that is, that these guys need you to learn before they can give you a job. So at that point in time, while you're in school, you've already started reading all these things. So and then you can start, learning these skills, and so that you're more job ready when you eventually finish your school. So I call it environmental scan. Okay, environmental. So yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. So essentially, when I came here into AU in 2016, and I was, yeah, I got to meet a lot of people, and they asked me, what sort of job, what's your course, what's your course? I told them, oh, I'm studying MPH, I'm studying public health, and they were like, there are no jobs.
No
You don't
jobs.
have jobs. Yeah, you don't have that many jobs in public health here. This is not Africa where you have a lot of diseases,
Yeah.
HIV, malaria, and honestly, it's right. So I went online. I was actually looking. So I wasn't really finding lots of jobs
Jobs.
around public health, but there were more jobs around nursing, social work, and like so. At that point, for me, I knew I had to do
Something different.
something different, a bit more work in order for me to even get anything at all from this field.
Yeah.
So yeah, so being being aware of your stand, of your job, you know,
It's
of
very
your
important.
jobs in that country is actually very, very important. And
I'm
I
also
encourage,
learning.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually encourage you to look at the roles that are advertised on job boards on the university website, and check out their requirement. And I generally save these vacancies, although I'm not ready to apply for them, but I save them just so if I need to go refer to them, maybe maybe after a few months or a few weeks, a few years, I can have something to fall back to and say, okay,
Yeah.
this job that I saved a while ago, what did they require? Okay, and then okay, am I meeting all these requirements? So again, I'm not applying, for all these jobs yet, but I'm just really, preparing myself, so that when I'm eventually ready to start applying, I'm going to be more ready. And then one thing I did, so I realized that once I did this, okay, I started knowing what what I really needed to know as regards
Yeah.
what I, for my job. So because those things sort of built into my subconscious mind.
Subconscious mind. Yeah.
And every day I'm going to, wake up and plan, okay, today I'm actually going to learn these skills so that I'm going to be more ready for this job. And then, so that actually helped me a lot. So I spent most of my time going for trainings, on skills that I require to get certain jobs.
Wow.
Yeah. So and
This
so
is
yeah,
Mr. Banji. I think this is definition of proactivity, if that
yeah,
what exists.
yeah.
When they
Look,
say when they say somebody is proactive, the mistake most people make is when they get to their final year undergrad. That's when they will think of where to get job. When
yeah,
they finish their masters, when they are
yeah,
giving them certificate, that's when it is not down on them that I need to look for a job, but I don't have I don't have a job.
yeah, yeah.
So I like what you are saying. Being proactive, look at the jobs that are available in that country. It may not be Australia, it may be Canada, it may be
Yeah,
US. Ask yourself, do you have the requirements now? If you don't have, check. Because one of the problems international students have is that they believe that since I have 2 years 2 years postgraduate work experience, since I have 3 years postgraduate work experience, in that 2 years I may find something. They have forgotten that in that 2 years, number one, you may not even find something. Number two is that in that 2 years you may need relatable job to even file for your permanent residency. In your case, you have to look for a job that is relatable. That is your experience. They call it Australian experience, if I'm correct.
yeah.
So many people make that mistake, especially international students, because our own goal is just to jackpot. We just want to move out of Nigeria or out of Africa, out of Ghana, out of Cameroon. We always forget what we will do after getting there. To be honest with you, I did not even think about this thing before until recently. I was now thinking that, okay, if I finish this PhD, what happens? Yes, I'm going to apply for P. I'm going to get it. But what of job? What of family? How do we set up everyone? How do we do all of these things?
Yeah.
So many people don't think, since people always think living Nigeria is heaven. Once you get to that place, there's nothing to think of again. It's a lie. They said the reward for hard work is more hard work. So you need to do more than hard work to maintain that current status that you have. Thank you very much. Just continue. I'm just trying to summarize what I've said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So because I knew that once I finished school, that the government will probably give me a visa, as you've said, of just 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
It's 2 years visa. Okay. So if I wanted to start doing all these things within,
2 years.
I probably can do that in 2 years, and then I'm gonna actually have to start applying for jobs, and then I'm gonna have to apply for another visa. So that's just not sufficient for me. So that's why I had to move some 3-4 steps ahead, and I started doing this while I was in school, so that by the time I finish my school and I get that 2-year visa, I'm actually looking for a job at that point. So the fourth tip is that what I would encourage people is to actually optimize your LinkedIn profile. Most young people, that I've met, for some reason they only use their LinkedIn profile when they really need it. Okay, or some don't actually even have, and for some that actually have, you find that they've got no photo. They've not updated anything. They've not updated anything. Look, trust me, I got my first job here in Australia via LinkedIn. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, via LinkedIn, and the reason why I actually used LinkedIn was that, look, I'm a guy that I just finished my school. Okay, if I wanted to start going online, okay, to start applying for jobs, so I tried a few times going online to all these job boards. I started applying for jobs, but all I was getting was unsuccessful emails. So I now thought that, look, these jobs that I'm actually applying for, these online jobs that I'm applying for, I've got my classmates are possibly applying for it because it's online. Those that want to change jobs, those that have jobs that actually want to change jobs, they're also applying for it. Okay, those that have lost their jobs, I'm talking about Australian permanent residents, those that have more experience than me, or Australian citizens. So these guys are actually applying for this job. So that means that there's actually more competition. Okay, so despite the fact that I've actually learned these skills, okay, that I was job ready, Okay, so I realized that look, there's still more competition. So I have to start using LinkedIn profile to actually target the firms, the companies,
Yeah.
the people in those firms that actually really that I could talk to. So I bought LinkedIn Premium. I started engaging a lot. I started posting a lot about my
Wow,
work. And
wow. So you bought LinkedIn Premium. I have
yeah,
never bought that thing. So
yeah,
you have to
look,
buy it.
no, no, you don't have to, but
I have
yeah,
never.
you honestly you don't have to, but sometimes you just really want to
Explore.
email, yeah, email, some people that
Yeah,
are just
yeah.
not connected to you, and these guys might not really accept your connection without, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just found this, that premium. I just use it to message one or two persons that I know that look, if I can get across to this guy, and if I can tell him about myself, and this is what I can do for them, these guys who actually listen to me. So I did that. I did that for about 2 weeks, and I got two responses. Okay, let's chat, and one thing led to another. Eventually, I got a job without needing to even go to job, apply online. So it's actually
Wow.
really useful. So, yeah. If you're not taking your LinkedIn profile, okay, very seriously, I encourage you to start, doing that now. Although I'm not going to really dwell about LinkedIn itself by telling you to update this section. This is what you need to
Yeah.
do to get up to date. Of course, because we haven't got that time, but I encourage you to actually start using LinkedIn a lot. So most jobs are getting filled via LinkedIn, via who know who. If you understand what I mean, yeah, who know who.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, via who know, because
Your leg must be
yeah,
strong and
yeah,
long.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So even in these Western, Western countries, it is still who know who. I know this person, not because they want to, but because it's actually easier for the companies and cheaper
Yeah,
for them.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's easier, it's cheaper, it's faster.
yeah,
So
yeah,
people
yeah.
are asking, do you know this? Do you know someone that we can, get into this new role? Do you know someone? And in some cases, they actually give their staff some money, give them something for actually bringing in someone in. They do.
Yeah, yeah. People
Yeah,
do that. They do it. Yeah.
yeah. So they do. So on LinkedIn, I'll advise you, you should start using it now. So don't just open it and then you forget about it for another 2 or 3
Another 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
yeah, until you're ready to start looking for jobs. It won't work. So you have to start using it. Engage, like post, follow people that that are in your field.
Yeah.
Like post, talk to them. So update your sections. Yeah, include all your work experience and the likes. And then, of course, you also
Follow companies.
follow companies of
Mm.
interest. So for example, while I was in school, okay, I had a list of about say 20 companies.
Wow.
I know that if I
Wow.
finish school, so these are the companies
That
that
we
actually,
apply to.
yeah, they're actually working. They actually do the sort of work that fits my academic degrees,
Background.
fits my
Yeah.
skills, and my strengths. Okay, so I actually started following them on LinkedIn as well and on other platforms. I started engaging with their posts. So, and that also, kept me updated with what was happening.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So I found those helpful, and I also encourage you to actually join groups. So it's not just on WhatsApp that you've got groups. It's not just WhatsApp groups. It's not
Yeah.
just
The
Facebook.
LinkedIn groups. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got LinkedIn groups as well. So if you're an engineer, I encourage you to actually look for groups that are for engineers in your field,
Mm.
and join those groups and meet people. Yeah, meet people.
Mm.
Engage with others, and the other tip that was really useful for me was the informational interviews. So what's
Mm.
informational interviews? So informational interviews is as simple as me calling Alex or D1 and say, hey Alex, I know you're working with Microsoft. Please, I'm currently in my first year or in my second year. I would like to learn more about your work as a software engineer because I'm
Mm.
also studying, say computer science. So do you
Yeah.
have 5 or 10 minutes of your time to really just talk to me about what I need to start doing now. If I need to get that kind of role, what does Microsoft like? What do they really, expect young people like me to actually have by the time they finish school. So having those sort of 5 to 10 minutes conversation with someone who is actually in that role actually helps you a lot. So in my case, I talked to a lot of people, and those guys also told me a few things I needed to do, skills I needed to learn, software I needed to learn,
Yeah.
that to get a job. So once I got into those interviews, I had a list of questions. Of course,
Yeah.
you definitely want to go to those interviews with your questions. You have to be ready. So you don't want to waste
Yeah.
their time. Yeah, you don't want to waste your time. So I got all the info I needed, and I started working. I started working towards achieving these skills. So I also found those really, really helpful. So, and then you can start working towards the skills while you're in school. And
Wow.
while you're in school. So, because if you wait until you finish school, you're just going to, it might just take you some time before you actually get a job. And if you don't have a visa that's going to accommodate that length of time you're looking for work, so what's going to happen is that you have to leave the country, because you can't be in a country without a visa.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to leave the country, and what some people will now do, unfortunately, is that, so because they haven't got time, because they are not really looking for jobs, and they haven't really got time, or they are looking for jobs but they are not finding jobs, then what now happens is that they now go back into school again, and then pay another 2 school fees.
That does not make sense at all.
And then pay another school fees because you don't want to go back home, because you don't want to go back to your country. But if you start looking for jobs while you're in school, and start thinking about your future, that what's next after my school, while you're in school, then trust me, you're going to be in a better chance and position to actually get the job that you like once you finish your school. Yeah. So and most of these universities, for example, they actually have career sessions. They have in-house mentors, that can actually mentor you a lot about some of this. And so I actually encourage you, if you're in school at the moment, don't just be in school, for the sake of just going to classes and writing exams, so that but you can make more use of your school by actually getting involved with trainings, with career workshops, and talking to people in that field, so that you can actually be job ready. Okay, so so generally, look, I found alumni, okay, very helpful. So if I attended UQ, for example, okay, if someone from UQ, or someone from UQ, a student, send me an email and say, hey, Banji, I realized you attended UQ. I need some information about how you were able to get a job. Look, I'll be more than open to actually help the person, but because there's actually that UQ connection. Okay, so I always encourage people to look out for those that have attended your school. Okay, just find them on LinkedIn. They're everywhere on LinkedIn. So find them, talk to them. Those guys are usually very happy to help, and attend on-campus career fairs. So while I was at UQ again, I had lots of firms, consulting firms, all these Bains, KPMG. Those guys were actually coming, to actually talk to us around their company, and what we needed to actually get into that company. So I would advise you, don't just be in school, just to go to classes and pass exams. Please attend some of these fairs, and go listen to what these firms need for you to be employable. Yeah. So number 6 is internships. So again, while I was in school, okay, this is actually a bit interesting, because I've heard about Australian experience, Canadian experience, UK experience, American experience. So look, if you're from Africa, say Nigeria or Ghana, for example. Okay, if you moved to Canada or Australia, if you're looking for jobs, okay, the number one thing that employers will actually tell you that they can't employ you, they're going to tell you because you don't have Australian or Canadian experience. So it's not their fault, okay, because things are done in a different way back home as it's done in all these countries. So there's a lot of differences between Australia and Nigeria, for example, a lot of differences. So they believe that if you have not worked in their setting, you can't really understand what they require. And trust me, it's good. Even when it comes to sending emails, yeah, the way we send emails sometimes back home, it's different because their workplace, the society is actually different. So essentially, they expect that, look, what you don't know unless you actually learn it. And there's no, you can't promise, the people and say, look, I know I can do this job. They won't take it. They like to see that you've done it. So they want evidence on paper. So I found the internships very interesting and very helpful. And again, I did these internships while I was in school. So I didn't even wait until after I finished my school. So I was studying. I also had a company I was doing my internship with, because I knew that if I finished, employers will ask me, or they will tell you, fine, you've completed your degree, which is fine, but you don't have this Australian experience. So I started doing internships while I was in school. So I did an internship for about a year or two, and it wasn't paid. I didn't really care much about the money because I had a plan. I had a goal. I had a focus. I had something I was actually working towards. So I knew that I just needed to have a role, have that internship work experience on my resume, so that by the time I was ready to start looking for jobs, employers won't come back and tell me, so we can't employ you because you haven't got Australian work experience. So internships are actually very helpful. So I encourage you, if you're getting into school, or if you're in school now, I encourage you to actually start looking for internships, because that might actually just be your saving grace. Because employers, they'll ask you, they'll tell you you haven't got work experience in this country. So even though you've got 5 years work experience, sometimes in Nigeria or in Ghana, they'll still tell you they don't really fancy that. Yeah, they'll tell you need Canadian, Australian, or American work experience. So that's essential. So don't worry too much about money when you're in school. Trust me, don't worry too much. Money isn't really all you need. So you have to know that you're actually packaged, ready.
I agree with you.
Level. Yeah. So money isn't what you need. So I was doing that internship unpaid. So the guy told me, look, I haven't got money. I said, I don't want your money. Just get me in your team and let me work for you. And that was actually very helpful, because in the end, as well, you're actually going to need references.
Yeah.
When you get a job, you need references. So if you're in Australia, you're listing Nigerian references. They'll be like, So again, those things matter. So by the time you're listing your Australian, your experience, you list your references here in Australia. You can ring the guy at 9 o'clock in the morning. Not that they'll be checking the time and say, what is the time in Lagos, to ring ring your reference, and your reference is sleeping in the midnight. So
doesn't make sense. True.
Yeah. So look, the easier the better. Okay, so I encourage you to actually find the internships in roles that you actually want to work in, so that everything can align with your personal branding.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important. So if it's unpaid, it's fine, provided you can still support yourself. Yeah, so I've said this before, that internship will actually be nice on your CV. Okay, and one thing with internships is that because there's really nothing to lose, so you also have to really understand what you're good at and what you're not really good at. So at that point when you're in school, you can use that to adjust your skills, your strength accordingly.
Yeah,
you can get real feedbacks. Okay, so the second to the last tip is that I encourage people to actually build relationships. Okay. Yeah, build relationships. Yeah, you have to value people. If you want to move, if you want to go look far, you need people.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's just the
that's the truth. Yeah.
yeah, that's a, you need people, you need help. Yeah, trust me, you need help. So value people, respect people, be nice to others, help people as well. Not just wanting help. You too, when you're in a position to actually help others in your own little way, I actually encourage you to help people as well, whether via information. And trust me, information is your best friend. When you're in these Western countries, you need information is actually much more important than money. You need information. Okay, information is very important. Okay, if you don't have time to get information from people that will actually help you, it's sad because it's like driving a car at night and your headlamps are off. You're just driving.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going to. So information is actually important, and those that will actually give you that information, it's people. Those that will help you get that job you're looking at or get internships is people. Those that will teach you what you need to know for to advance your career is people. So you actually depend a lot on people. Yeah. So be nice to your colleagues, your classmates, supervisors. Yeah, be nice. Yeah, and one thing I always tell people as well: look, dress nice. Okay. Don't come to all these Western countries and then you're just dressing shabbily. Look, it works for me. I've gotten a lot of benefit as a result of just dressing okay, just look good. Even if when you look good, if you stop
People.
someone, if
Yeah.
you stop someone on the road, say you're looking for directions and you don't understand,
They will stop. Yeah, yeah. They will answer you. Yeah.
they'll see that okay, I think this person
It's,
is okay. Yeah, but if you're not, they might, and trust me, first impression matters.
I
First
agree.
impression, yeah, it matters. So yeah, it matters. So as you go out every day, just try to be nice because you really don't know who is watching, and who knows, you might actually just be talking to your next employer or
Yeah.
the person that's actually going to help you with a job. So the person has to like you as well. Yeah, so be nice to people and help people as much as you can, and stay connected. So don't be someone that just that will just look for people when they need help. Okay, don't be that kind of person. Let's just find a way to be connected to the person. That's why I actually encourage you to be on LinkedIn, engage with posts, like people's posts, share comments, share content, and so this is how you actually stay on people's mind. Okay.
Mm.
So this is how you stay on people's mind. And the last point of today is that I will also encourage you to define your personal brand. So what is personal branding? Okay, I'm going to give you a really short example. So if you think of Olu 1, for example, on Twitter, what do you think about? What do you see? Okay, so for me, I see a guy that normally posts on Ph.D. how to get scholarships, how to get opportunities abroad, how to get visa, how to migrate, and those sort of. And I also know that he's an engineer, and I also know that he's a PhD student. So for me, I already know his personal brand. So what does or what do people know about you as regards what you do in the
Mm.
community? Okay, so it's important. So don't just
Any
be
random person.
in your own space and then you are just there doing your own thing. So essentially, people need to know you and know what you do, know your strengths, for them to know how they can help you and what sort of jobs you need. Okay, and
Mm.
look, and this is 2021. Employers will actually Google you. They
Mm.
if you apply for jobs, they will Google you. They are going to put your name on Google. They will. I do that too. I do that. I'm going to Google you to even see what's there. So if you've so if you've done if you've done some things in the past that might haunt you, that these guys will know. So be aware of your online branding, of your personal branding. Okay. So I think it's important. So who are you? What do you stand for? So what are your skills? What do people know about you? So
Mm.
once you really have a list of what you want people to actually know about you, then you can start using all these platforms to promote yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Promote yourself so that at that point in time, when you eventually start looking for work or job, so people already know that you know what you do. You know, they already know what you do and what you stand for. So Alex, for example, I know he is a doctor. I know I know he was here in Australia for for his masters of public health. So I know he's done some work in research. So people need to know you and know what you do in order for them to help you better. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I understand that many of us are actually on social media. So don't just use social media to share pictures of parties and what have you, or your past. Yeah, share some of your work as well. Okay, so that people will know what you do and how they can help you achieve your goals. So yeah, so in summary, I encourage you to actually know your strengths, because if you don't know your strengths, you don't even know the sort of jobs that you really want to apply for. Okay, and you won't know how to sell yourself. So be it whether applying for jobs or even applying for scholarships. So on your SOP or motivation letter or your cover letter, so you have to be able to sell yourself.
Mm.
And in selling yourself, you need to know what you're really good at. You know, as regards your strength. So for me, I like to prepare early. I like to be. Yeah, I don't like being being the last. Doing something at the very last minute. I like to imagine uh, what I'm going to be doing next year, in 2 years and 3 years, and I like to start preparing for those things now. So, and then understand what you want. So your dream role, what sort of jobs do you want? What is your ideal company? So understand, having this understanding and having a list of companies that you actually want, and the roles that you can work in based on your strengths will actually help you in finding that job that you really want. Okay. And again, understand the factors that can limit you. So in my case, I knew visas is going to limit me. Okay, if you just if you just finishing school and you just get these 2 year work visa, employers like when somebody is permanent or when you're a citizen, because they don't want. So they actually don't want to go back into the market to start looking for somebody that's going to come back, that's going to that they're going to employ, and then continue your work because your own visa expired and you have to go back to your home country. So I knew visa would actually restrict me, and so which was why I started using LinkedIn and other platform, as well as other methods to actually to actually look for jobs. So I knew that could limit me. So I knew skills could limit me. So which was why I started learning those skills I needed to get these jobs as early as possible. So essentially, I just didn't want to be, in a place where I'll be ready to start looking for work, and then employer will say, "Oh, sorry, you don't have the skills, or you don't have this visa, you don't have this knowledge, or you don't have this."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's important. So I also
Okay.
yeah. So I also get to share a lot of content in my spare time when I'm not too busy. Okay, I encourage you. I encourage you to actually, follow me on these platforms. And if you've got any questions as regards career, what have you, especially in Western countries, I encourage you to just send me an email or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to, yeah, to help. I think
Okay.
I think that's it really as regards.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is about getting job. We're rounding up soon.
Yeah.
So let's say I now have the job. How do I move to getting a permanent residence? How does it work? What are the pathways to getting permanent residence and then staying in Australia? Let's say
Okay.
I have the job using the tips you shared now. I've gotten a very good job. So what
Yeah.
happens after that?
Okay, so I'm still going to share. I'm just going to share my screen to show you some really useful website, and I can send that link as well. I
Yeah.
can just put that link on the. I can send you the link so you can put them on the chat box. Okay.
Okay.
So in Australia there are many visas for
Okay.
work. Okay, visas for work. So the ones that are actually very popular. Okay, is the 189 visas. Okay.
189.
Yeah, 189 visa. So because of time, I really can't go deep into the requirement.
Yeah.
But this is similar to express entry in Canada. So
Okay.
it's based on your points, based on your work experience, your age, your English language test. So essentially, it's actually very similar to express entry. I'm sure many of us are aware of express entry. So if you meet a good point and your points are actually really high, then the computer will pick you and they're going to tell you to come and apply for this. So I'm going to send these links. So this into the chat box. So this was the visa that I got. I got the distinguished talent visa. So it's actually a new visa, but I encourage people as well to also look at it. So it's got its own very specific requirements. So I encourage you to look at that as well. And if you've got any questions whatsoever as regards to them, I'm happy to
that's good. So I think the visa you want is the global talent visa, right?
Yeah. So the one I got was the global talent visa. However, these are the more popular visas. So these are the more express entry like visas. So these one, the skilled independent visa and the skilled nomination and nominated visa. So they are the ones that just anybody that have just completed school using a points-based system similar to express entry can actually get. However, I also encourage people to check this new visa. So this visa is about 2 or 3 years old potentially. Wow. So it's actually a brand new visa. So so I encourage people to also have a look at this visa, and some of these visas, I've seen people from outside Australia actually get it. So if you're really really good, you're skilled, and you can sell yourself, and you can really show to the government that look, you're good. And I've seen a lot of people actually get this visa, even from offshore. I've got a few friends that actually got it. So as regards visa to actually work and stay here permanently, as you can see, so it's got stay is permanent, and usually once you're on this visa, after a while you can then become a citizen.
A citizen, nice.
So I encourage people to. So I'm going to send this link.
Send it to me. I'll put it on Twitter.
And one other page that I actually found very useful, honestly, especially if you're in Africa, is this Nairaland page. Okay, so these guys, talk about everything that you need to know as regards migration. They go into a lot of detail. So as you can see, they've put the 3 main visas on this page.
Wow.
So they've put what exactly that you actually need to do in steps. They've done everything. So they've done everything, and you find people actually asking questions, asking questions, and you've got guys actually responding to all their questions. So I encourage you to also look at this page, and so this page is actually really huge. How do I check my job classification and points? So you find people actually
asking questions.
Asking questions, and people actually responding to you. So I'm going to copy and paste links. So it's definitely possible. So once you get into Australia and then you study, trust me, there are a lot of pathways. If you want to be a resident, there are lots of pathways. So most people that I know, most people that we actually got here together, most of them actually have their residencies, and some of them have actually become citizens, and their families.
Nice.
And their kids. And so the benefit is that once you become a resident, you have access to Medicare. So Medicare is a free healthcare. So you don't have to really pay. In most cases, you actually don't really have to pay anything for healthcare in the government hospital, and they are world class hospital. So you get access to childcare benefit. You get you can vote if you become a citizen. You can vote for.
I'm voted for too.
So there are lots of benefits. You can, in Australia, for example, Australian passport can give you access to about 190 countries.
Wow.
No visa. US, Canada, UK, Europe, anywhere you want to go. And look, it actually gives you that freedom. So I encourage people, if you're considering Australia, as Alex has said, Australia is a really nice country, beautiful country, lots of food. If you love food, you get really good food there, because you've got people from all over the world. All over the world, in Australia. And then so maybe we can take a few questions. I can
thank you very much, Alex. I wanted to ask some questions. Why are people afraid of coming to Australia? That's number one. Number two, is Australia border open? If no, why? When will it be opened?
Oh, I don't know why people are scared to come to Australia. Maybe because of the distance, and maybe because
You
of
said there
what
is
they
snake.
have
Somebody
seen,
said there is
what
snake.
they've seen on TV. Yes, in terms of the wildlife and all that. But I would say that, I mean, there are snakes in Africa as well, and we still live in Africa. So I think they're looking at that. And even here, there's no restriction. No one really is in charge of making sure that these animals are even in are protected against human lives and all that. Well, Australia is really big on their environment, on nature, and also they really protect these species. So if it's in terms of you being afraid of coming to Australia because of wildlife, I don't think you have a problem. I never saw any of these things. I when I was going to Australia, I thought maybe I would see snakes coming out of water closets and all those things. But no, in Sydney, we never had any of these experiences. And I would say that Australia, in terms of safety, one of the lowest crime rates in the world.
Wow.
You can actually, there are so many times we've walked around students 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on the streets, and we did not even have to worry. And you
Oh,
see lots of people walking around at the time. They're very welcoming. I'm not saying just walk around, do anything there, but
yeah,
I think that in terms of
Yeah.
safety and wildlife, it's pretty okay compared to so many other countries where we
yeah,
find a lot of Africans. The distance is the major problem, but if you're
yeah.
able to get there, trust me, you wouldn't want to leave.
And by the way, I'm not coming with my legs. I'm coming with airplane. So why should I be
Yes,
bothered about distance?
exactly.
And they'll give me
Exactly.
food inside the airplane. So let me just.
And actually, the trip, I don't know which connecting flight you use. If you're able to use this Qatar or Dubai, or thing, getting from Dubai to Australia is actually very comfortable. You would enjoy yourself.
Ah,
So
so
yeah, take that trip. And
okay.
are the borders open?
Yeah.
No, going to Australia now is not possible. I think from November, it's only Australian citizens who are able to, I mean, come in and also go out. But if you are not a citizen, I don't think you'll be able to enter. And that is why all these
Oh,
scholarships are not even in working at the moment. And I'm sure Banji would confirm that. Yes.
I see. I see.
Yeah, at the moment, the border is only open to residents, Australians, and those with waivers, special waivers. So yes, but generally it's not open, and that's due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So their focus is to actually you know their focus is actually to keep Australians safe. And
Mm.
in fact, not just that, people can't really come in. Since March 2020, as a resident or as a citizen, if you want to live outside Australia, you have to get exemption. You have to apply for an exemption. If you just buy your ticket and go to the airport, they will turn you back.
Ah,
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
see.
you
yeah,
can
Oh, I
leave.
they will
see.
turn you
But
back.
I
So
mean, talking of,
yeah,
okay. No, finish, Banji.
yeah. So they will turn you back. So it's not just for those outside. It's also for those inside as well. So,
For this
but
inside.
now, yeah, for those inside. But now the government has actually been ramping up their vaccination target. So they want to get most people vaccinated. And once that happens, I think Australia now, across the country, we're currently at about 80%. So hopefully next year, early next year,
Yeah,
because I've
yeah.
already some states have already started saying that they'll start welcoming some
Some people. Okay.
yeah, some people back from next year. So I think again with me, I like to prepare early. So if you're like me that wants to come next year, now is
You
the time to start pushing.
now
Look, I
exactly.
won't wait until they say Australia is now open. People can come, but then
Yeah.
you have to start applying and do. It's going to take you another 12 months. So
Yes.
start now.
I agree with you. That's
Yeah.
very good. I think Alex, you want to say something?
Yes, talking about exemptions, I know some PhD students who have also been able to enter. If you are
Mm.
doing any research work, that is, I mean, priority area to them. So
Yeah.
those into vaccine research and development, AI,
Yeah.
and all those areas, yes. So depending on your proposal, you might be able to enter Australia. Yes.
Oh, I see. But for general students who have funding and all of that, what happens to all of those guys? People in general, generally who have fundings from professors and all of that.
Yeah. For now, you might have to do maybe the remote or the on do online a lot of online work now, and depending on your research, you might have to do aspects that you can do in Africa, and then later
Okay.
on, if when the borders open, then you can go and then start your whole
Okay. So
process.
if
Yeah.
someone like who is doing chemistry, who is doing synthesis, and has to be in lab. What happens to him? And he's in Nigeria or Ghana.
Yeah.
He may have to defer, most likely. He
Yeah,
Yes,
may have
yes,
to
yeah,
yes.
defer.
you just have to. I actually
Yeah,
have
okay.
a friend. Yeah, I actually have a friend in Nigeria. Based on mutual understanding
The
with his
supervisor.
school and his supervisor, the guy, yeah, he was actually able to get a deferral. So the guy is just waiting for the borders to open, and once that happens, the guy will just buy his plane ticket. He's got his visa already. He's got
Oh
his
my
visa.
Yeah.
He's got his so
fantastic.
yeah. So yeah, they're still issuing visas, although he actually might be a bit slow, but they're still issuing visas because they know the
Yeah.
border is going to open one day and you're going to have to come in. So they're still
Nice.
issuing visas. So I encourage people to actually anything around that you actually want to do. Don't let any factor stop you unless it is absolutely impossible for you to do. So I encourage you to actually start doing it early. Don't listen to heresies. There's always a lot of information going on, and those informations are usually negative, and that would actually put people off. I don't know why, but I really don't care. So I would actually encourage you to start doing whatever you have to do now. So start talking to your supervisors now. Start contacting
Yeah.
the schools now. Start doing it so that once all the borders open, you're in a really good position to actually
To just
travel.
apply.
Yeah,
I
you just
agree
have,
with him.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I also want to ask before we go, are there cheap schools in Australia, for example, for people who could not go through scholarship, who cannot get supervisors, who have sent emails, sent proposals, and like that, they've got nothing?
Oh yes, from my side, yes, and I would say that look at the regional areas.
Okay.
Some if you are looking at trying to maybe live, if you don't have a lot of money and all that, and you don't really want to work so much to be able to fund yourself. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what some people do. They have to work to pay. Maybe you should consider the regional areas, yeah, where it's not so expensive,
Okay.
and maybe you might have to start courses that are like maybe 2 or 3 courses per the program where you don't have to pay so much. And
Mm.
then yes, that would be the best option for you than just
Oh,
going
I
to
see.
Sydney, Central Sydney or Melbourne, where
Central Sydney.
accommodation alone is like 300 a week, and you are even struggling to get money to buy food. So
Mm.
yes, maybe you should
I
look at the
see.
regional areas. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. Any other thing again? I think that's pretty much what we can take. If guys have questions, Alex, can they contact you? What's your LinkedIn profile if anyone wants to contact you? Or you have any email address? Where
Oh,
anyone? Yeah.
yeah, that. I mean, that's okay. I mean, I'll share them with you so that you can put them up. But I mean,
Okay.
okay, let me just share them with you so that you can put them up. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you could share that with me so that I could just send the link to them. Guys, thank you very much for this very, very detailed. I mean, for somebody who is an undergraduate, for example, I'm in my 500 level, 400 level in Nigeria or Ghana, anywhere, and I want to move to Australia, this is pretty much all I need. It's as simple as that. Everything I need to move from being an undergraduate to getting my master's, to getting my PhD, to getting my job, to getting a PR, to getting settled, to getting everything is what we have just summarized in 2 hours. But you trust your people. Our people will not, they will not even watch the video. They will still come and ask questions. So I really wish that people will be able to, I will push this video as much as possible and tag you guys so that people will be able to, um, get all of these things. I hope that okay, I'm trying to put it your Twitter handle, and this is the LinkedIn handle of Mr. Alex. For Banji, I think he showed us in with the slide. For guys who will watch later, they can always see it. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you so much. We targeted 1 hour 30 minutes, so this is 2 hours, more than 2 hours. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me see if there's any other thing. Is there
yeah, no,
anyone with questions? Anyone?
yeah. I do want to.
Or anything? Okay.
I've just posted another website, an Ireland link for those wanting to apply to study in Australia. So that Ireland page talks about study, just
Study.
study. So whereas the first one I shared talks about
Permanent residency.
primary
Yeah.
residence. There's one for
Yeah.
study, one. So I encourage people to actually find those.
I would
links and go. Because back then, when I was in Nigeria, trust me, I asked every single question on that link, and the information those guys gave me, because those guys are, the people that have actually gone through all those steps before, and they're actually here. So I got really useful links and from those websites, and I was able to get what I want. And I also encourage people, to also look at the Australian Home Affairs website directly. So don't just always rely on what people say. So I will take what you've said, but I'll also try to
Do my own research
and see what's actually on the official page, just to make sure your ads up. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Banji. Thank you, guys, for coming. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I wish you God's best. We wish you success in your own personal endeavors. And if you have some change, you can share, because we can do the giveaway for our guys. Thank you, guys. Alex, thank you guys for coming. Thank you. I'm going to end it now.
Sure.
And then it will be on my YouTube page for people who want to check later. Thank you, guys, for coming. Guys, please, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, guys. Thanks. Yeah, bye.
Take care. Take care. All the best, Banji.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks.
Bye, Dario.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.